Hello, Virgo. Stop right there before you talk yourself out of it again, before the voice that sounds like reason but feels like fear.co convinces you one more time that letting go is the mature thing, the wise thing, the self protective thing. Because there is something in the energy around you right now that is pushing back against that narrative hard. And I think you can feel it. That specific resistance in your chest when you try to convince yourself you're done. That stubborn, inconvenient, refuses to quiet thing that keeps saying, not yet, not yet, not yet. Stay here. Because that feeling is information. Drop a comment if you've been trying to give up on something and something in you keeps refusing to let you fully commit to it. Because I want to start with the giving up, not to tell you it's wrong, but to examine what it actually is when it shows up in you. Because there are two very different things that wear the face of giving up. The first is genuine completion, the natural end of something that has run its course, the quiet, clean, undramatic release of something that was real but is finished. That kind of letting go feels different in the body. It feels like exhale, like setting something down that your arms were tired of holding, like relief with a little grief underneath it. Clean grief, the kind that doesn't argue with itself. But then there is the other kind, the kind that looks like giving up but is actually just exhaustion wearing resignation's clothing. The kind that arrives not because something is actually over, but because the uncertainty has gone on long enough that your nervous system is desperate for any resolution, even a painful one, even a false one. Just something solid to stand on instead of this endless suspended in between. That kind of giving up feels different. It feels like fight, like something in you arguing against itself, like the decision costing more than it should if it were actually the right one. Which one is living in you right now? Tell me in the comments, because here is the probability I want to name directly. The thing you've been considering walking away from has not finished with you yet, and you have not finished with it. Not genuinely, not in the clean, complete way that real endings feel. What you are experiencing right now is the most difficult part of something real, the part that tests whether you actually believe in what you've been building, the part that separates the people who want something .from, the people who are committed to it, and the fact that giving up feels this hard, the fact that it costs this much, the fact that something in you keeps refusing to fully commit to it, even when your tired mind is arguing for it. That resistance is not weakness. That resistance is intelligence. It is the part of you that knows the difference between something being difficult and something being done. Can you feel that distinction in what you're navigating right now? Drop a comment if that lands somewhere specific. Now, I want to talk about the 1111, not as a mystical guarantee, not as a cosmic sign that something is being delivered to you on schedule, but as something real that happens in human experience. There are moments where the noise clears, where the static that usually fills the space between your thoughts goes quiet for just long enough for something underneath to be heard. A knowing that doesn't come from analysis, a clarity that doesn't come from thinking harder, a signal from the part of you that operates below the level of fear and strategy and the exhausting weight of trying to figure everything out. Those moments are real. They happen. And when they do, they tend to carry a specific quality of information, not about what will happen, about what is true right now, about what you actually feel underneath the complexity, about what you actually want when you strip away everything you've been telling yourself you should want. Have you had one of those moments of unexpected clarity recently where something just landed, clean and undeniable? Tell me in the comments what it said, because I want to talk about them now. The person that this reading is orbiting. Without making promises I have no right to make. Without guaranteeing a timeline or an outcome or a specific sequence of events, but with the honest observation of what I'm reading and the energy between you, there is a connection here that has not resolved itself. Not because resolution isn't possible, but because what exists between you is real enough that it resists the clean conclusions that simpler things allow. Simple things end. Simply, real things are more complicated. They leave residue. They create questions that don't stop asking themselves just because the circumstances have changed. They show up in the unexpected moments, in the recognition that someone's particular way of existing in the world has left a mark that casual time and casual distance cannot fully erase. And the probability that this is happening in both directions, not just in you, but in them as well, is something your instincts have probably already been registering, even if your mind has been busy arguing against it. Can you feel the difference between what your tired mind is telling you and what your deeper knowing has been quietly insisting? Drop a comment if those two voices have been at war lately, because I want to address the silence, the specific silence that exists between you right now. Because silence between two people who have something real between them is never empty. It is full, overfull, packed with everything that hasn't found its way into words yet, with feelings that are too complicated for casual conversation, with truths that require more courage than ordinary moments provide, and the probability that the silence you're both living inside right now is that kind of silence, full rather than empty, loaded rather than indifferent, is higher than the fear is allowing you to consider. Because here is what indifference actually looks like. It looks like not thinking about someone. It looks like their name arriving in conversation and producing nothing in the chest. It looks like days passing without a single unconscious reaching toward them. It looks like genuine ease in the absence. Does any part of what you're experiencing feel like that? Or does it feel like the opposite of that? Like a presence that refuses to become an absence no matter how much time passes? Tell me in the comments. Now, I want to talk about what giving up would actually cost, not to manipulate you into staying, but to be honest about what the arithmetic actually looks like when you give up on something real before it is actually finished. You don't get the peace you're hoping for. You get a different kind of unrest. The unrest of someone who made a decision from exhaustion rather than clarity, who chose the relief of resolution over the discomfort of uncertainty, who closed a door not because they were genuinely ready to, but because keeping it open had become too energetically expensive. And that kind of closing dot, it doesn't stay closed cleanly. It comes back in the quiet moments, in the what if moments, in the moments where you encounter something that reminds you of what you walked away from before it was actually finished. The probability that premature closure here, .co.sts, more in the long run than staying present in the uncertainty costs now, is something worth sitting with, honestly. Not as a reason to hold on desperately, but as a reason to make sure that if you let go, you let go from genuine completion, not from exhaustion pretending to be completion. Can you feel the difference between those two states right now? Drop a comment if you're trying to figure out which one you're actually in, because I want to offer you something practical, not spiritual bypassing, not stay open and trust the universe, something actually practical. Before you make any significant decision about this, get honest about one question. Not what do I think I should do, not what would make me look strong or unbothered or evolved, not what would be easiest, but this: what do I actually want underneath the exhaustion, underneath the self-protection, underneath the performance of being someone who has moved on or is moving on or has their life together enough not to need this? What do you actually want? Because the answer to that question is the only honest foundation for whatever decision you make next. And the probability that you already know the answer, but have been avoiding it because it feels too vulnerable to acknowledge, is what I keep reading in your field. What does the honest answer say? Tell me in the comments if you're willing to name it. Let me bring this home now, because I want to leave you somewhere real. Not suspended in longing, not performing indifference, but grounded in what is actually true. What is actually true is that something real exists here. Real enough to resist easy resolution. Real enough to keep asserting itself despite your attempts to quiet it. Real enough to cost something when you try to let go of it. That reality is not nothing. In a world where genuine connection is rare, that reality deserves honest acknowledgement before any decision is made about it. Not desperation, not obsession, just honest acknowledgement that this matters, that it has weight, that walking away from it is a choice with real costs that deserve to be counted accurately. And the probability that there is more movement possible here, more honesty available, more genuine exchange waiting to happen than the current silence is suggesting is real. Not guaranteed, not promised, but real enough to be worth staying present for, worth staying open for, worth not making permanent decisions about from a temporary state of exhaustion. Breathe. You don't have to figure this out today. You don't have to make the decision in this moment. You just have to stay honest with yourself about what you actually feel and let that honesty, rather than the exhaustion, be what guides you. That is enough. That has always been enough. And whatever comes from that place of genuine honesty will be the right thing, because it will be real, and real is the only thing worth building anything on. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.